Hi, my name is Daniel Gonzalez, and you're watching Influencing Entrepreneurs.
After years of teaching entrepreneurship and consulting business owners, I realized that true knowledge comes from the wins and losses of those entrepreneurs. These are the stories of those business leaders. I'm Casimir Ward, and this is Influencing Entrepreneurs. Today we're here with Daniel Gonzalez with the brand Daniel Gonzalez. Thank you so much for being here.
Honored to be here.
So where does your entrepreneurial journey begin?
Good question. So actually it starts with my parents. My parents both have been business owners all my life. They've always had their own businesses and kind of strive to have their own thing. You know, my dad always said that he rather create the job than work for someone, and I kind of just took on that.
What type of businesses did you grow up?
So in Colombia, where I'm originally from, my dad had a transportation company. So they had trucks and they moved bananas and coffee. And my mom worked for a travel agency company. And when we moved here, she worked selling clothing and coffee, actually.
Okay, so how old were you when you moved here?
I was 9.
So you grew up in the States and, you saw your parents continue their entrepreneurial journey. What path did you take as a child into your early adulthood?
When we first moved to the United States, we didn't know a lot of people, and my brother found his friend invited us to a dance class. So we went to this dance class and started dancing and started getting really good. And that kind of evolved. And I started ballroom dancing and then got really dedicated and took that as my profession. I was going to be a professional ballroom dancer. Once my dance partner and I started getting good enough to travel, we were starting to travel abroad, and we needed dresses, but we couldn't afford them. And called my mom up and asked her if she could help me create something. And we made my dance partner's dress, and that's how it all started.
So is this all through high school or even before high school?
Yeah. So my first big competition, I was about 16, and we were going to Blackpool, England to compete. And that was
Wait. So that's, dance competition to England. Like how do you get to England? I'm sure it wasn't take a class, go to England for a competition.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just started training. I remember being in the ballroom dance studio and just training and just being, really liking it. And at that time, just trying to acclimate to the culture and stuff like that. The dance studio became like my place where I thrived. My mom's best friend at the time, her daughter was also Colombian, and we got along, and I invited her to come and dance with me and learn. And we started doing some competitions, but we were clearly talented and coordinated. And all of a sudden, we were starting to travel to New York for coaching, and we had coaches flying in, and became this whole thing. I remember we won the US title for the division that we were competing. After we won that and we started doing really well, our teachers suggested that we go to England to compete, which in Blackpool, it's, there's like 500 couples that you compete against, and they narrow it down to one and that kind of a thing. I remember being really excited that we made it to the top 100. So I think we were 98th or 96.
And this is still out of 500 though.
Yeah. So our division was the Rising Star, and that was a big accomplishment. And so that then led to us competing more and then creating more costumes. And that's how it all kind of started. Yeah.
And tell me more about these costumes.
So ballroom dance costumes are all like lycra and spandex. And what makes them unique is that they're like covered in rhinestones. And that was something that I found I was really good at. I think it's my ADD or something. They just like the mundane, like task of rhinestoning. And I became really, really good at it. So I remember buying basic shapes from stores and then just decorating them. And that's how I started.
So you're starting to do this even as a teenager.
I was 17 when I created my first gown that my dance partner wore to a competition.
Where do you learn your first project can't be a gown. Like, where do you learn to sew? Like, I can't even get a button on a shirt, let alone I'm going to just start with making a gown.
Yeah. So once we made the decision that we were traveling abroad, I called my mom and just told her that, we were going abroad and we wanted a dress. I asked her if she would teach me how to use this sewing machine that she had.
So you really don't know how to sew?
I didn't know anything. But I knew my grandma sews, one of my aunts sews, and I know my mom knew a little bit. So I thought, if she could help me, if I bought a bodysuit, and then added a skirt and decorated it, I could do that. So called her about the stuff and she showed me, we put it together, wore it to the competition. And my teacher, she looked at us and she goes, "Where did you get that? I mean, it's beautiful and I've never seen anything like it."
So in a good way.
Yeah, she
Okay.
was like, "Where did you?" We're like, "I've never seen something
It's
like
not like
this."
one sleeve's longer than the other
No,
or
it was
anything.
really good. We didn't do a lot of work. I mean, we sewed on just a skirt, which was fairly simple, but I embellished it, I decorated it, and so she said, "You need to keep going." So my dance teacher at the time said, part of your identity, your brand as a dance couple, you need to develop an identity. If you make the costumes, good or bad, they're still going to become part of your identity. And that's better than buying something generic.
Okay.
And that's all I needed. And I kind of started learning. And then I've hired local seamstresses to teach me how to sew. I got my aunt to fly from Spain. She lives in Spain now, to come and stay with us for a year and teach me how to make patterns, to sew, to drape.
And what does this look like? Like, are you almost in a classroom-like setting? Are you like, do you just put an hour aside each day? Like,
How did that look like for me? Maybe for other people, it looks like organized, but again, with my ADD, it was like organized chaos. So I would go to school, I would come home, I would have the teachers come teach me in between doing homework and going to the dance studio. And then I would do the projects at night. So once I got home from the dance studio and did my homework, I would sew and do rhinestones and all that kind of stuff.
and are these all test things, or are you already like creating final like pieces?
I mean, there was a lot of mistakes. There was a lot of dresses that my dance partner wore and like for shows and stuff. And we decided that that was not it. So I always tell people I didn't go to proper fashion school, but I created my own environment where I was studying fashion and I was sewing and making mistakes and learning what the whole process was.
Would you say that was an advantage or a disadvantage?
It's an advantage for sure. Yeah, because I'm sure if I went to organized school, there's other things and stuff like that. But when you have to do it yourself and you have to like carve your own path, there's certain things that come from that. And there's things that now contribute to the uniqueness and and my ability to craft a design that's unique and like so special to my DNA, because I don't have other influences that like led me to design in a certain way, which to me now is an advantage. Before, I would have said it was more of a struggle. I wish I would have had a fashion school in Charlotte that was really good. But now like I'm embracing that whole part of it.
So when you get to the point, from that first piece and you're learning, what's the first piece that you create that you're like, okay, like this is working. It's,
Yeah.
I've got it.
We made about 5 dresses for my dance partner, Natalie. We had made about
And they
5.
were only for your partner at this point.
I only dressed her. I was like, I didn't care about making money or dressing other people, or like, I wasn't going to be a fashion designer. I was going to be a dancer, and this was a means to an end.
And I'm sure she loved it. Like,
I'm sure she was like, I wish, some of my dresses didn't fall apart in the beginning, but and now it's just a really special part of the process. Yeah. So we made this piece, and at this time we had moved up in category. Now we were competing with the big dogs, and we made this piece that was essentially a pair of like spank leggings and a bra that we decorated and covered with fringe, and we took it to the competition, and we had judges, other coaches, other competitors come to us and go, "Where did you get that? That's amazing. That's beautiful." We had at the time like the world finalists, one of the couples copied the design, and I was like, okay, this has more legs. And then slowly the people in the dance studio started asking me to make their things. And I took that, I was very honest. I was like, I'll charge you for materials. I'll volunteer my time completely because I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'll make sure that what I deliver is something you can wear and it's something that looks beautiful. It may not be perfect or, stellar craftsmanship, but I had a ton of people in the dance studio take me up on that, and that sparked my business. My dance partner, Natalie, so we were the only kind of, at that time, now there's more, but at that time we were the only couple really in North Carolina that we were doing what we were doing at that level. And it just became hard for her. It was just hard for her to make money. It was hard for her to stay in the shape that she needed to stay in to be considered, to be elite. And she said, I want a normal life. And, you know, I was like, fair. So we stopped dancing together. So this was 2012. We actually made the US final in the big category, right? So it was like our best result, which that was actually our last competition. And she stopped dancing. And then I started looking for partners. I tried out with a girl from Canada, from Denmark, several girls in New York. And what happened was, once I got to this place, all the doors seemed to shut. Like, it was not a good move to go to New York. It wasn't a good move to go to, Canada. It was just not a good move for me I didn't feel like it was right for me to leave Charlotte to dance. But that's if I wanted to become a professional dancer and carry on, I needed to go. And I just didn't feel that was right for me. So eventually I kept teaching, and I said, okay, I need to pivot. I'm going to fully focus on fashion. But towards the end of all of that, one of my dance costume clients, she was going to Versailles to the Riders' Cup gala, which is a big deal. Her husband used to train the European golf team. So they were like a high profile couple. I was lucky enough to teach her, and she said, hey, I'm going to this big event. I want a ball gown, and I want it made out of silk. And I was like, I've never worked with silk because we work with stretchy material and stuff like that. But I was like, give me some time to do some research and see how it goes. And that's when it all started. I started researching, how materials were made, how silk is made, the benefits, the problem in the world with fashion, like what's good, what's bad. And I started creating special occasion gowns for people here and there. And that kind of took off a little bit. I fell out of love with dancing as a business. Like, I still love to dance, and I think everyone should learn to dance. I think it's an incredible thing for your mind and your body. But I fell out of love with the business, partly because of the political, partly because it's hard. Like, some of my friends that are dancing, I'm like, it's a hard life. You're always hustling. I decided I wanted to do fashion, but I didn't want to be attached to the ballroom. I got to a point that my designs were more than my ability to sew. So I had to hire a proper pattern maker, proper seamstress to put everything together. So I found this really good seamstress that she's still working with me now. And I was like, and she was helping me make all the dance costumes. I said to her, I don't want to let you go. I've been looking for a pattern maker for a while, and I don't want to let you go. So I was like, we're going to launch a collection. So the first thing that we did all these samples made out of this material. And I looked at it. We had about 7 or 8 pieces, and I hated it. I was like, okay, I can't launch this. I can't go from the dance to this and not do it. So then I went back to, okay, what do I want to do? This needs to be, the vibe is not right. So then I went back to the silk and ordered a bunch of silks. And we had 4 gowns. Then we had a whole small collection of tweeds and cashmere. We had about 4 or 5 blouses, 3 or 4 skirts. And we made all the samples. So that collection was all made to order. All of my clients that I had before.
These are ones now you feel good about them.
Yeah.
They have your stamp.
Yeah.
They have your brand.
Yeah. Then we changed, because my original brand, all the dance stuff was made under Modelo Couture. And then once I decided to leave the dance and all that, then we went to Daniel Gonzalez after my name, because I felt like this is what I want to show with my name on it. We made all the samples. We had the atelier in my mom's house. And
what is an atelier?
An atelier is like a workroom, a dress, it's a workroom. It's but usually in fashion is where you make fashion.
Right.
So we made all the samples. So we're making all these things out of my mom's bonus room, essentially, and I was selling it out of my living room. So we had people come in one by one by appointment, try on all the pieces, and then we would make it for them in their size. And that's how we started.
So when did you get your first place?
So we did that for a year. And then because at that point I was in Dilworth and I had taken over the living room, and all of a sudden I was working and living in the same space, and I was now working all the time. So I decided, I can't do this. I need to, kind of get a more official spot. And I was also driving. My parents lived kind of in South Charlotte. So I was driving back and forth to pick up garments and stuff like that, which I didn't like. So I needed a space to merge the both of them. I think it was November 2021. My brother was looking for an office space, and he went into an office space and he called me. He's like, I need you to come here now. I was like, why? He's like, there's a space you need to look at. Drove there, looked at the space. At that time, I was just selling 1 or 2 dresses a month. So I wasn't really making enough revenue to, right. But I went there and I looked at it, and I just felt like that's what I needed to do. So I called my mom, called my partner, and my parents said, we'll help you. My partner said, I'll help you. Like, we believe in you. Go for it. Got the lease, and I've been there since then. Once we got the lease, I was like, okay, we need to bring up the prices because now I need to pay for more stuff, and all the internet and all the little minutia of that. But making everything in the United States made to order is also very expensive. So how do we scale? We need a ready to wear. Okay, so now we have a ready to wear and a made to order. And then, but I always had the client that wanted something special. I didn't like craft all this. It just slowly started falling into place. And then I was also cognizant that I needed to learn about the business, how to run a business, and what my role needed to be. So the last 2-3 years, we've been kind of fine tuning what that is, like who I am as a designer, what I need to do, what I want to show, and also how do we make our money? Like, where does it go? We tried a lot of things that didn't work, and people that were like, you can't do that, you're gonna go bankrupt. I'm like, okay, I need to stop doing that. All those things kind of contributed. Now we've launched our most comprehensive ready-to-wear collection. We have close to 30 styles. They're made in Brazil, they're made in Peru, supporting Latin American, just kind of, that's dear to me. And just kind of doing that. The goal for the next 5-10 years is to get into, boutiques across the United States, some, overseas, and really have a ready-to-wear line really take off. And then locally, for now, unless someone's willing to travel, we have this really kind of gem of a business where we kind of make women's dreams come true, like your dream gown, your dream blouse, your dream trouser, something that fits. We can create that for you.
And you're already on a several-month waiting list.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
So that piece is already building itself out. So as we come to an end, my last question for you is: what lesson did you learn on the dance floor that you've been able to apply to your business?
You can always improve. No matter what you do, no matter how good you are, you can always improve, but you got to go out there like you know what you're doing, so you got to go out there and put your best face forward, and you got to do the best work that you got with optimism, but always in the back of your mind you have to know, okay, this has to get better in all kind of facets of the business.
Excellent. I can't think of a better place to end on, so thank you so much for being
here. All right, thank you.
Thanks for watching. To watch more episodes of Influencing Entrepreneurs, be sure to subscribe on YouTube at Nexagy Education.